welcome, Kerstin. Do I say your name right, Kerstin?
Kerstin.
Kerstin. It's more German, right? My German is not that good. Yeah. So welcome to the Archetype Akasha. And you're here for the revolutionary, the wisdom that you have, because you have the 49.2 and you're a 6-2 manifesting generator, if I have that correct. And I responded to you while you were responding, or you were posting something on Facebook. And I somehow immediately was drawn to your 49, and I did not know why. And you responded back with, yeah, I would love to share my wisdom and my journey with the revolutionary. And then I got your data and stuff, and I was drawn to your attraction sphere, because that's where the placement is of your 49. And usually I never go into the sexuality and things like that, but somehow immediately I was drawn to my own gene key Venus sequence, and somehow felt there was something inside of the revolutionary and sexuality and the things that go along with it. You have line 2, it's for the sexuality, it's lust, passion, inadequate, and liberated. So I don't know where you would like to start on your journey and how you became aware of the 49 and how you look back at your journey with this revolutionary, with all the awareness that you have now and did not have back then. So anywhere you feel you would like to start, it's all perfect.
Yeah, there is really so much in it. And I was contemplating it the last days. And yesterday was a birthday of my son. It's his life's work. So, and I know about all this, the gene keys and human design and all this, only 2 or 3 years. But I'm really diving into it very deeply. But before, I didn't have these words or whatever. It was more the perception or experience and my own story. And yeah, but it's so really exactly this point, because 1 year ago, I made a deep dive of the Venus sequence. And when I was at this point, the second from after the purpose,
yes.
attractor field, so I was, and now this year it's even more, it's so intense for me. It's so intense because it's really a point in my life that I was not aware, not conscious at all about. Very long time in my life, very long time, because I have so many, as you said, I'm a 6-2, and I have 7 line 2 and 7 line 6. So it's really much. And many 4 lines too. I have no 5th lines at all, and 1 or 2, 3 lines, but it's really all 6, 2, and many 4 lines. So I'm very much about relationships. If you look at my astrological positionings, nearly fell sense everything in the 7th house. So all my life it was about the other, about the mirroring, about my partners, about my children. I have only sons, 4 sons. So I had the impression there are only men in my life. I'm really men everywhere, and little men, big men. So, and yeah, and this, what is so crazy is that really I was always looking for something and passionate about what is really revolutionary. And I saw it always in the outside. I saw it in the men, for example. I'm jumping around a little bit, but when I remember when I fell in love, and in general, I'd never choose. Men always come and they wanted me. And in the beginning, I was always, no, not interested. And then they never stopped to come back. And one day I was, okay. And then I can go so deep in it, so deep and so close. And so I'm so in love with everything about my partner in this moment. And it was always just a type of a revolutionary in a way, always. This is really the thing that was always there. But the strange thing was that they changed. They were only revolutionary in the beginning, and then they became something, I don't know. For me, I describe it this way, because today I know it was never about them. It was about me. It was about the revolutionary inside me. But I was, oh, great, there's a revolutionary. Okay, wow, he's different. He's different. He's crazy. He's creative. It's a rebel. I love this. So, and then we started to live together or whatever. I was always thinking that it was about the outside in a way, about the other person, because when I go back a little bit in my history or my story, the story of my life, the first 18 years, I was I had very difficult time in my family with my parents, abuse on every level. So antenna, I was always in the outside, looking what is the other doing, and am I in danger or whatever. So I was always in this, So when I was in love later, and I was so, oh yeah, this is a revolutionary, a rebel or whatever, I didn't know that it's a part in me. And because of my history and these abusing things in my family, I had changed a lot. So I didn't, I was frightened to stay to be myself in a way. So I always distorted myself to, what is this? Everybody's darling, you know. I was the queen of fulfilling needs and desires of everybody. For this, I was so, And I think that perhaps, men or people felt this, that I was really so much perceiving them and coming to do everything to fulfill their needs. But this is the reason why I never thought about myself. It was not in my head, or I didn't know. So every relationship, it was always the same. In the beginning, it was, revolution and passion and whatever. And then I changed because I was always all day long looking about the needs of the other. And the other changed because I was changing, and there was no passion anymore, no revolution anymore. And each time I was, okay, so this was not a true revolutionary. This was only the baggage, and it was empty inside. So you know the story, you know what I mean. Yeah, and I tried to make it a bit short, but it was really a sort of, when it's all the time the same story pattern. In another pattern. It just was really a pattern. And now because I was always in relationships. Was 12, was the first, with 13 for a year, then 4 years, and 7, 8 years. So I was always in relationships and married and children and so on. And it's only now, the last 6 years, I'm 53 now, that I'm alone, that I live without a partner. And it was in the beginning, it was really so, finally, I have time for myself. And but at the same time, I could no longer, distract myself in a way to looking to the other, because there was no other.
Right. You had to go inside. You were calling yourself inside somehow, somewhere.
It's not that I didn't do this before, but it was not on the same level. It was, I was always, my whole life, I was looking what I'm doing wrong, but it was more, what can I do better to be loved, and I was not me. Now I'm looking, what is it me? Where have I been all these years? And Yeah.
Maybe also what you need. Are you more in tune what the needs for you are?
Yeah, and this is completely new. This is really completely new, but I'm still in this mode of, I have still one child at home, and I still look first at him always. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's a big excuse for everything. I cannot hide. It's so deep inside me. I don't know. But at the same time, I start really to look deeper into my needs, but it's so new that I even don't know sometimes. Because I think there are so many, and even when I go in this 49 and in the second line, it's about my life force, it's about sexuality, it's about physical needs. And because of these childhood stories with abuse with my father, my mother hated me, and so I was not hugged or loved by my mother, never. And my father he came too near, and I couldn't say stop, and so it was really very strange, very double bind. And so when I ask myself now, but what do I want? What do I need? I even have words for it because it's so old that I pushed my needs away because I had to survive in a way.
Right.
And I think it's because of this that it's so deep for me to contemplate the attractor field, and I started to see the parallels with my core wound because it's 12 in line 4, and it's about rejection too. And the 12, it's about differentiation and purity. And it's a bit in the 49, for me, it's a bit, it's a bit the same story on another level. It's also filtering out and everything. Yeah, but it's going very deep, for me.
Yeah, when I think about needs, I don't have the 49, but my daughter has, and she has the 19 as well. I see the pattern in her, and maybe you can confirm that, is that she was rejected by her father, her natural father. And I feel now, when I look at her, that her need towards being loved, she's loved by us, by me and my husband, and she knows that deeply, but somehow there's this emptiness in the acceptation or the loving from her father. And she's always the same. She's always looking outside for that validation of love, being lovable and being good enough and worthy enough to be loved. And I see her also going into the sexuality. She's very open to me. And so she has like a date here and a date there and you know, exploring. And I love that about her because it's something I repressed when I was young. So I go, let go, revolutionary, right? Just explore. But I also see her hurting because I sense with her, and she confirms that with me, that she would really love to have a family to take care of. So now she has cats, and before with another boyfriend, which she lived with but separated, she had a dog, and she has this natural attraction and conversation on I don't know what level, but I don't have it, with animals. But it's wanting to have that connection and that intimacy and being loved unconditionally, I feel. It's something that she seeks, I feel. Do you recognize that?
Yes, it's really the point. And this is a part of my vision, really my deepest vision to come. It's all about relationships. And I so deeply wish to bring people in a new form of relationship, or even connecting, or not only about love, but really getting together and getting to know more about each other, and a sincere form of curiosity and interest, real honest interest for the other, and without all these conditions. And this is why I left south of France long time ago, because I felt here was so much intolerance and with foreigners coming from other countries, and for me it's so hurting, and it's, yeah, I don't know, perhaps it's my 6 lines too. I see it on this whole level of meta level, to bring people together, to see them for themselves, and really for what they really are, despite their social background or religion or whatever. Because I was in a way, and I am always thrown out of my family system, because I am the different, I am the rebel, yeah, and I am, and I don't go the way they're all going. And but for me, as a child, it was so normal that the people who were the closest to me, I could not trust. They were, yeah, they hurted me the most. And now in my adult life, I'm with open arms for strangers. I'm always with an open heart. But when I come into relationships closer, I have more and more this fear of, perhaps, no, this is not my friend. This is my enemy. I have to look at it. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because normally you open your heart for your family, and this is the subject of the 49 too. If you are too much in your tribe and the others are not good, but my tribe, my family is okay. And for me, it's exactly the contrary, because my family was the enemy. My parents were my enemies, and even some others in my family, they were always against me. They didn't believe me when I said I cannot stand this. They said I'm crazy. They never protected me. So I really learned to fight, not really fight, but in a passionate way, to be there for strangers who wasn't accepted, because I know this so good to be, yeah. And this is what you said about the unconditional, with animals it's so much easier, and I'm always going in nature. I talk to trees and everything. It's so beautiful, and I love this simple, pure life of, it's just wonderful, and there's nobody judging me, or, you know. But at the moment we see that it's very extreme, all these judgments and people going against each other. So for me, it's a good sign, because all this will crack open in a way. And sometimes I compare it with, to have an image, with insects, you know, beetles, for example, with this, what is it?
There's
armor.
Yeah,
you know, the thing. And normally it's a protection in the outside you have,
right?
But all this is breaking up. It's crashing up, and so we all have to learn to find this protection in us,
right?
So in the inside we are all soft, not only beetles. Every being is soft in a way, but instead of looking for the protection in the outside, we have to find it in us. And this was the thing I had to learn from my first days on. And it was so hard and so hurtful, but now I understand why or what I can do with this. And I understand that it was never about being passionate about a man who seems to be a revolutionary, but in a way he wasn't, he never was. It was only me who didn't understand that I exist. I didn't even know that I exist so much. I was in the outside.
Right.
It seems crazy, but yeah.
No, I'm feeling it. And it reminds me of a book I read of the Toltec wisdom about love, and how we as human beings are almost beings that walk outside with these plasters around, you know, when you have a wound, and that when you're born, you're totally naked, right? And you have your beautiful clean skin, and then people from the outside, they scar us, and then at some point we have so many plasters that we cannot feel, and I don't know the whole story anymore, but it made impact on me, and I'm sensing that now, that how beautiful it would be if we could see each other as equals and not be afraid anymore, and just see that we have the same skin, in sort of speak, and that that there needs to be no fear to be able to touch each other. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but with my daughter as well, that touch, I know she has this kind of a love-hate relationship when it comes to hugging. It's because I was at some point, I was like, I'm sensing, I'm feeling, I'm knowing that she wants to be hugged, but she kept me away for a long time because she was in pain because of her father. And at some point, I just opened up myself, because I saw I had my own wounds, and I went through them. And then I was finally open to see what her needs were in that way, and not my expectation of my child. So when I started hugging her, I just kept her. She wanted to, you know, after a split second, everybody pulls away, and I was holding her, and I felt the resistance. And then at some point she released and went, and then in that moment, in the same breath, we were kind of one, you know, in that hug. And the touching, I still feel overall with people outside. It's different when you are more in a community or in a tribe. Hugging is more natural. But in the social world, as we know it outside of the tribe, hugging and kissing is something like, you don't do that. But why not? You know, you are acknowledging the other as, I see you, I hear you, I'm here with you, and we are equal. Yeah.
This is so touching for me, what you just said with your daughter. And it brought me to tears a bit, because for me it's really all about this one point, really to be there and to stay there, whatever is happening. And you know, when you take her and you go, but you stay and you stay there. Right. This is really when I started my career of psychologist and coach 13 years ago, because I do transformation coaching for many years. And when I did my first, when I learned, and I was with some teachers who showed demonstrations with people, and one said, yes, I'm here and I stay here, whatever will happen. And I was so, because this was a need I had all my life, that there will come someone and say, I'm here for you and I stay here, whatever it takes. And I could cry every time when I hear this. And I try to be this person for other people.
But who was there for you?
I say I try, because sometimes it's okay, but very often, I don't know, perhaps I will find the answer in my Jinkies or whatever one day, but I have something, because I perceive in a second when there's something not authentic. And people feel that I can see it. And so they run away very often, because oh no, this is going much too deep. I don't want to look there, you know. Yeah. And I try to find a way to bring it over in a softer way. And I'm just now at the point that I understand that I have to find this gentleness for myself first. And this is something I never learned. I was always rejecting myself, because it was impossible. It was automatically, in a way, to not lose everybody. And even until until 40, perhaps, I never had the impression that there are people who don't like me, because I was so yeah, I was so kind with everybody, so there was no reason to be afraid of losing somebody. But these last years, I came back to myself, and all my work is all about this, to become real and authentic and come to be finally ourselves. And people were going, and people left, and people smashed doors, and I was so, what have I done? What have I done? And so very often I even said a word, just my presence. I come in a room and oh, this was very hard for me, and sometimes still is, to see that, even not to speak the words, but you can feel it. You can feel it, but I'm in the inside. I'm so with my open heart, and this, 12 line 4, and yeah. But I don't know. There is something in my energy still what is not purified and cleansed enough, which is not mine, but because of the story is still a bit in it. Mm-hmm. So I'm very often misunderstood. I'm just in this cleaning and purifying process to find a way to be more kind to myself, to make people more trust in my kindness and love. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean. And I know about the 12, that it is in the mood or not. So what I was sensing when you were sharing that, it was what there might be feeling is that your 49 wants to be open and wants to connect and be in presence, but your 12 is saying, I'm not in the mood right now. So there is this contradiction within the energy that they might be feeling. And I don't know if that is something to purify. I think it's just an energy that is open or not at that moment. And maybe I'm just giving here what I'm sensing, right? It's no advice or anything, but maybe the next step is to allow yourself, when something inside of you, your 12 is saying, no, I'm not in the mood, to just not be in the mood, and that it's okay not to be present at that moment with that person. That you can say, I want to be present for you, but I can't right now. I have to be present with myself right now.
Yeah, this is really a point, because I have this whole 1222 channel. So
okay, then it's definitely
and all these emotional waves and everything. And so for me, it's really a bit complicated to make to fix something, to say, okay, tomorrow we will do this, but when I'm not in the mood, I'm not 100% here. So what can I do? So I do things more and more spontaneously. This helps a lot. And at the same time, when I was looking, because I have not only the attraction in 49, I also have my ascendant from astrology in the 49, and there is line 6. And I also had a look at the houses, astrological houses, and this was really interesting for me too, because the second line, so the attraction, is in the 12th house, and there is about letting go things, about illusion of separation and isolation and all these things. And this was a big part of my life. The first 7-8 years of my life, I spent so much time in hospital alone, isolated, and this is so much in my cells still. So when I have times of being alone, my body is remembering this time of isolation, and it's not very helpful for my feelings, for my emotional waves, because I get stuck and frozen in a way. But now I can understand it better. And the first house is about to know more about what I am, and so it's so new, and and the ascendant is for me in a way the complete contrary to my sun sign. I'm a Virgo. I think we are the
Virgo?
same.
Yeah.
It was a 47, and my parents are both. My parents are both Virgos too, and because of my parents and because it was so difficult with them, for me, the last 30 years, because astrology, I know a bit better and longer. For me, it was so, Virgos, they are so control freaks and always looking and criticizing me. And it was, I didn't know much about it, but I was rejecting my part of being Virgo too. Right. And I was so celebrating the revolutionary parts. For me, it's a revolutionary part in a way. It's this visionary that I celebrated much more whole of my life, the creative rebel in a way, that I really live now since I'm alone. Because before, when I was with my partners and even in a family, last years of my, until 6-7 years ago, we were 8 person at home. Wow. My 4 sons, my husband, it was a patchwork family. He had 2 children and all the animals and everything. Mm-hmm. So I was really busy all day long. And then I went away with my son, now my youngest son. And since then we were only 2. And now I come and I go into the depths of myself and find all these parts. Exactly. All of them, and they are so fighting against each other sometimes.
You have to make peace.
Or hidden parts, or so hurt, from my childhood, so buried, so deep, and
What I was last night, we had the Portal of Deconditioning call, also about the 49, and I was having a chat with Kat in the chat. What I was sensing when I don't, because I don't have it, but when I thought about the revolution and rebirth and then going inside, what came out for me was when we go inside and we acknowledge all these archetypes that are living inside of us, that we are able to see that we are whole and that everyone that we are seeking for is inside of us. And all the pieces that are missing, we think we are missing, we can see in the reflection of the other, because I'm saying it very often, we are all a part of this big conscious crystal. And when we are able to see that you are another part of me, then everything is kind of perfect, sort of speak. But it all starts within the self by seeing each and every part and loving and accepting all parts of you, and not saying I don't have this or I don't have that, but really acknowledge that you were given a particular potential and gift and a particular journey. And we can say it's good or bad, but it's all about the journey. And when we start to see the beauty in that and feel the grace of that, which is the 22, the grace of that this life has been given to us to have these experiences. And it's just the duality that says it's bad or it's good. But when we see it with grace, it's the gift.
Grace, the 22 is my evolution. And for me, it's so easy and so beautiful to see this beauty in everybody, really in everybody. I can fall in love with each person in a way. And it really, I'm so passionate about this. And I'm so incapable, or I'm doing better now. I'm on my way to find this for myself. It was really, and you said it's so wonderful to recognize that we are all mirroring parts of ourselves. But sometimes for me, it made me sad. It made me sad to understand that. If I exaggerated a bit, but that everybody it's always about myself in a way. Because, I speak to you and I see the beauty in you and all your flourishing, whatever. And then I can say, it's not about her. It's just me. It's just a mirror of me, which is true in a way, but this is making me sad because I love to adore others. I love to I don't even know if it's understandable, because I was so long time of my life in this outside celebrating thing of it's all about love for me. It's really about loving people and true interest and whatever, and potential unfolding and co-creation, and yeah, and at the same time I have really to understand that it's never about going out to solve a problem. It's always about going inside of me.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, and at the same time, I love to exchange with others. So for me, it's really,
yeah. But that's the beauty, right? It's the beauty when you are whole and feeling whole, that you can see the beauty outside, and you have both worlds. But like you said, it all starts within. If we don't love ourselves, if we don't truly see ourselves, that we are lovable just with all our perfect imperfections, then we cannot give that love outside, and we cannot see the beauty. So maybe you're judging too hard that you are, or you're judging that you are still looking outside. But that, I feel that's perfect, because you have looked inside and you have found yourself, and you are able to see now where you were seeking, but you have found. I feel. Yeah. How does it feel now for you, first coming from like 8 people and a lot of animal family, and now being just the 2 of you? How do you experience the difference in energy, maybe the space that you have more for yourself now to go within? And how do you go within?
Yeah, it was really a big change, because I am mother since 30 years. And when we turned to live only with 2 persons, for me since then it's holiday every day. It's one child is nothing, and I live my life in this way. Since then I only do things that I love, or where I see a sense in it. The 47 is always looking for the sense behind, and when I have the impression my life is purposeless, and I'm not in my this frustration side of the generator.
Yes.
Not myself. What is it?
The conditioned self, and not self. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, and for me, it's much about being with nature. When I have the possibility, and normally I live always near to a forest or trees or parks, or here even the sea in France. So I'm very connected with it, and I have I dance a lot. I'm not so much about sitting and meditating for hours and moving. I cannot stand it. Oh, this is making me very nervous, really. So I love to walk and to dance, and to I'm doing much energetic work with breathing and whatever. I cannot explain it in 2 minutes, but this is really so helpful, and so it changes everything in a minute if I really do it. And I have so many things that I do, and it's very often very playful. It's because I love to have, I have my pearl is in simplicity 47 line 1, and and I have really, and in the 49 too, there is this part of living this pure life, this simple beauty of a pure life. And I'm so happy in the moment. I have just 1 room. The other room is for my son. We have two rooms, and it's so simple and it's so wonderful. I have left everything at home. We had just 1 baggage each. We came here, and it's only perfect. And and I love to look with people, what do you really need for your happiness and fulfillment, and what, because when I look my friends, or many people have problems with money or whatever, and they're all the time buying and making this and that, and they ask me, what are you doing? How do you do? I don't have much money, but I rarely buy things. I go on the flea markets. I love this. Even as a child, I bought everything on the flea market, but it's not expensive. So, and yeah, I don't know. For me, it's much more important to have light. I have the purpose in 11. This beauty of the light and taking photos and doing my art and being in nature. This is really so profound. I don't need more. And now my 3 older sons live far away. I don't see them very often. And in the first years, I was so, nobody loves me anymore. Where are they? And so even for Christmas, it was so, okay, the others are more important and I'm alone here. But now I'm so happy to not be at service all day long, to make everything for everybody. No, I do just what I want, and we see in between when it's okay for everybody. But it was not easy in the beginning. It was so a big change, really, because I was so functioning for so many years, without knowing who I am, what I need, and I don't need much. I'm happy.
Beautiful, because you found yourself. That's what I'm sensing. But I can imagine that when you live maybe more far away than before from your children, that you go back to that shadow side of that 49 and feeling I'm not being loved anymore, they don't care anymore, and going back to that journey of being a child again, and then really have to come back to yourself to reaffirm yourself that is not the truth, that they just have their own lives and that you're still important and that you live in their hearts. But did it feel like you were sort of thrown back into your past to remind yourself to go back in and find yourself again?
Yeah, it was much worse last year and the year before when I was in Hamburg, because Hamburg is not my hometown. I went there with my youngest son 6 years ago, and 5 months ago we came to France. And France here in the south, for me, it's coming home. So here it's much easier for me, even if I'm not more far away from my older sons. But here is my hometown. I feel so connected with everything. Every cell of my body is so fulfilled. But when I was in Hamburg alone, and we have to go back, unfortunately, because my son has to finish school in Germany. In July, we have to go back. But the last 2 years, it was really, I was so pulled back in my childhood, and even I had this, what was the name? I wrote it in just a second. I told you that I was very often in a hospital. I have this, meningite, was it?
Meningitis? Of migraines.
Yes, I had to stay laid down for 1 year. Wow. I was 5, 6 years old, and I was like this in bed all day long and having a headache. It was without light. I didn't have any light, and and I really went back there in a way the last years, and my sons didn't come, and I was not in a good mood. I felt so rejected and not loved, and at the same time I knew this is a process. It's not a reality. It's a process that I have to go through, and and now I'm putting all the pieces together, and I know I had, as I'm a therapist and all these things, and I had made some therapy for me too, but I always did it on an emotional level or mental level. And I never did it for the body. So all the physical things, the trauma in the body, I never went there. So this is coming up the last years. And I was falling down twice with a lumbago. I fell down in the street, and for For weeks and months, I couldn't stand up and move. And this was really going back in the past physically. So my body told me, so now stop.
It's time for
trying to find answers in your head or in your emotional waves. Go into the body. Yeah, this is happening now.
It feels like the third birth, because it says rebirth, you know, in the city state. And I'm now hearing you say you're going to your third rebirth on the other bodies. Yeah, like the mental body, you know, the emotional body, and now in the physical body, and releasing the trauma that has been stored in our nervous system and maybe our digestive system. You know, it can be stuck anywhere. Yeah,
and it's really even the direction, because I always try to find answers here. Then I went deeper into my heart, and now it's really physically, it's all in the down of my sacral. And even when I had these problems with my back, it was a sacral, but on the backside, you know, and all these sexuality things. And this is really where I am now, and I'm on my way. It's not solved at all, but I go back into the cells, into the body, and listen more to what is still there. And for 5-6 years, I'm alone. So I have no physical touch or whatever. There's nobody in my life. So this is strange too. After all these years, I was in partnerships, and and I don't know if I will have a look to find somebody who will help me with this going more in my body, or if it's a process that I can do alone, but I will see. But it's so interesting, because I'm coming back to trust again in my perception. This was the most
profound insight,
most profound trauma in my childhood, that lost the trust in my perception, because my children told me that I'm a liar, that it's not true, and that they didn't abuse me. And I was so, okay, so if this is not true, it was just a dream, and I'm crazy or whatever. And it took so many years to come back to trust and to see, okay, they told me because they didn't want to know everybody or whatever, even they didn't want to look at it or whatever, but I know that everything is okay with me, and I can trust myself. But for so many time, I thought that it wasn't. So it's really, you cannot change it one day to another, you know.
Yeah, because at that point you're rejecting the body's wisdom and the body's memory when you do that. Wow, that must be so. Yeah, that must be a real transmutating process, I'm always saying, because I feel the 47 coming in there, you know, having it in your Jupiter, your law, and also your life's work. It's such a big part of all the other parts beneath it, right? So really reconnecting them with the body and letting the body have a voice. Yeah. It's funny that came up for me this morning. I had this download and also really learning to listen to what our body has to tell us without having the mind having an opinion about it or having a solution for it. Just listening to the body and what it has to say. And another funny part is what comes up now is that I had a conversation with somebody else from the pod who was sharing her insights, and she had spoken to her belly that day. It was a few days ago, and she shared with me somehow some poem came out of it, and she says, yeah, it sounds really dirty and nasty, but I have to share it with you. So I was listening. And when you listen to the words, they're kind of strange in how they were put together. But when I felt it, I was hearing what her belly wanted to say. And it was, wow. But we're not being told how to listen to our body. And it speaks a whole nother language than we do, and how to make sense of it, because somehow spiders came in and darkness came in and other these kinds of words. But it was really telling how it felt when you eat wrong, or when you have trauma, or when anything is happening in that process. It was telling her what the process was and how it was feeling. Yeah. So I'm sensing that with you too now as well, that when you go into that, you will experience something similar to that, maybe. Yeah. I'd love to hear when it happens.
Yes, and it's this process of really my body smashed me down in a way some years ago, really in the street like this, and twice in that year, it was 2019. And now, really, since I'm here, I'm good in my body. I feel good. I move a lot and everything. But sometimes something is coming up, or my stomach or whatever, and then I go and I put pieces on the ground, and I feel these different parts of me that are too far away from each other. So I bring these parts together.
Okay.
It's really a sort of creative work of seeing and embracing this defragmentation in a way of all these parts inside of me, and bringing them back together. And sometimes it's really like a game. I put cards on the floor, and in the end I put them like a flower, you know, I bring them all one in the middle, and I see what is the most important thing now, and the others are around, and I put myself on it, and I feel whole again, not so one here, the other there, and the other I see, and you know, and yeah, little playing like this, but this is really very helpful, and my body responds, and I can feel when I stand on it what it needs.
Wow, you're kind of being a translator for them and bringing them back together. You have the 6th as well, right? Gate 6, I believe. Yeah. What I'm sensing here, that your 6th line is working together with your 49, where the revolutionary goes like, hey, come on, 6, we have to get things organized and get the chaos out of here and let people talk with each other again, you know, something like that. And then the grace comes in and bring all these pieces together, and then they can live in harmony again. Yeah, but maybe I'm just rambling, but that's what I'm seeing and sensing. So
yeah, I know what you mean. And there are even these parts. I know this part very well, and I have also the part inside of me who says, no, I love this chaos. So you control freak, you want to make order and everything. No, I want chaos, and the other side wants order, and so they are all there. They are all there, and it's the same story as I told in the beginning with the people. Everything can be there, everything. So not judging. So it's not something better or worse, but okay, you can stay here and you can stay too, and we are all equal in a way. And this is this thing of you remember the last day when we spoke about justice, and I was nearly crying, so I was so moved, and about just is, and this 49 is it's about divine justice, and it's always this point of it's divine justice, all equal, and nothing is better or worse or more or less worthy. But I have to really see at first all this inside of me, because I was so much rejecting myself, because my mother really was so not loving me, not able to love me, and it was so deeply, or still is, I don't know, imprinted in my cells. It's because it was not only one day, it was the first 18 years of my life, every day, this program. So but this fragmentation and bringing the pieces together to make it a whole. And even I wrote, because I write too, I wrote books in French, in German, and but I'm mostly most of the time artist. And I wrote a story about it, a little princess who had an inner, what is it, a mirror inside of her. It's a mirror, the image for the perceiving, in a way, the world. And this one day, this mirror was broken in millions of pieces. And for many, many years, she went everywhere and she asked people, what do you need? What can I do? And what, because she didn't no longer know what to do. She was lost.
Didn't see her reflection
and
anymore.
was always asking outside, always asking the others. And one day she saw a little child playing a puzzle, you know, these little games you make, put pieces. And she remembered, oh I will try to do this with my broken pieces. And so she made a mosaic. I don't know in English, but you know what it might mean. Yeah, and so now it's a mosaic in, it's not as, what it is, yeah, the mirror don't have,
yeah, I know.
Things. All pieces are together now. It's not exactly the same as it was before, but it's even more beautiful.
Wow.
It's even more beautiful. And this was the image or the base story for the books that I wrote. But it's my story. It's a story of my life because I live like this. And it's, in a way, it's a story of the 47 because we bring pieces of the past together to understand.
Yeah, but also, I also hear the 49 in it.
Yeah.
I can't explain it, but it's because when you bring them back together, they are acknowledging each other, that they need each other and they need to work together. And the 47, they're making sense of the past, that when they come together, they can share their stories. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they all have another perspective on things.
Right. Yeah.
So it's never, it's a bit the situation in the world at the moment too, because there are so many people trying to convince the other and say, no, you're wrong, I know better, and this and that, but it's only a perspective. So they are all right or all wrong or whatever. So when I do this kind of work, in the end, I always feel that it's only whole when they all take hands, when they come together, because when they are all together, they can see from every perspective, and there it makes a whole. And this is my view on co-creation too. This is why for so many years I was giving all my passion and time and love in co-creation projects about potential unfolding, bringing people together, even because it's so difficult to unfold my potential alone, because we can only bring all our pieces together when we are together in groups.
Yeah. It's almost like I'm hearing myself talk. And if you watch back any other videos of me, with me, you hear me say exactly that. So maybe it's somewhere that we have the same keys or things. Maybe it's the sixth line with the vision. I'm a 4/6 and you being a 6/2. I have that same vision.
Mm-hmm.
And when we can acknowledge and accept and see no more competition, because that's also a conditioning, that we have to be better than the other, in order to thrive or to be somebody in the world. If we just can see that I have a particular talent, you have a particular talent, and when we bring it back together, we have 3 talents, because 1 and 1 is 3 for me,
Exactly. And this is the point. So I was really frustrated the last years because so many people didn't understand. And you just said it. It's not about I give you this and you give me that.
It's not a bargain. No.
One is 3, because we create something together. It's a little bit like we make a child, but it's not a child. It's a project or whatever. Yeah. But it could not exist without one of
the other. Right.
Yeah. So and this is really I love so much, but because of all these crazy stories in my life, in relationships with others, I became so vulnerable, and I don't know, I lost a lot of energy, and my enthusiasm for all these projects and my motivation was in a way for sometimes a little bit, and the sense of all this, why am I doing this? Nobody understands what I mean. But now more and more people come in my life, even just you said it, who understand what I mean, and even say it in.
Yeah, that's your 6-2, holding the vision for a long time and have to wait for the right timing. And now the time is here, everybody's waking up, right? And seeing the potential of humanity when we stop with all these negative stuff, like the comparison and competing and everything. And that it's really, you said it, it's not making a baby, but it's a creation.
Yeah.
And only together we can create something that really is sustainable for everybody, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So and many times when I am in groups, or when I were in groups, because it's changing at the moment, groups were very often about, what can I get? I give you what can I get here, you know?
Yeah.
And I was so. And this is all my life. I come in it and I feel something is strange. Something feels strange here, but I cannot explain. And one day I feel, okay, this was not really that with what was written on it. It was just for what can I get? I was
instead of what can I give?
What can I give? What can I? How can I serve? What can I give? And there it's flowing. But if there are all the people wanting something, it feels not good. And yeah,
it almost
feels like then I lose my energy and my motivation. And but then I try to explain, I cannot find the words, so I stop it. I go back in my whatever alone.
It's funny that you mentioned it, because when you shared that, I was seeing like everybody wanting something, and I in my vision I only saw like these beggars all going like, you know, holding the hands up, and I was like, oh no. But when I know this from experience, because somehow maybe with my 47 I could make that change of feeling the lack consciousness towards what can I give and what do I have to offer you, and not expecting anything back. Just the giving is already a receiving. But it's something you can't explain. I'm feeling you so much, because how can you explain that it really doesn't matter if you don't give anything back to me? Because it's just the beauty of being able to give somebody so that somebody can develop their potential or give it forward because of your giving. You know, that is already the receiving within it, and that's almost not explainable.
I think what it needs, or if you have the trust, and I have it, and I think you have it too, really this faith or trust or whatever, to know that it's all in a natural flow in this world. Even for me, the greatest teacher is nature, to see that everything is it's always infinity 8 or whatever. You give something and it's going wherever, but it's all fulfilled. So it comes always back in another way, perhaps. But many people, and even at the moment, many people losing their jobs and whatever, and think they will die because they cannot buy something to eat or have no flat anymore. And it's really existential. And so they cannot imagine and believe that it's all flowing in a way if we really open up and trust in it, and open up our hearts for each other.
Right.
If you're always expecting something terrible happening or whatever, this cannot flow.
No.
And I don't know, I have really experienced so much mess in my life, but I have so much this faith, and I really believe and trust in this process. I don't know why. I really don't know why, but I cannot make this, I don't know. Always stand up and be happy again, and running outside, and it's so beautiful.
I think that's a 22. That's a 22. That gives you kind of the hope, the inner knowing of, even if the clouds are so dark, there's always going to be a light another day, or maybe the next day, or the week ahead, but it is coming. So it's, or maybe it's my 36, the darkening of the light. I've been there, but I always had the kind of this trust at some point that somehow this too shall pass, you know. And like you said, I'm sensing for the future and everything that is going on in the world right now, that we will maybe come at a point where we'll be thrown back to each other and really have to start sharing. Okay, we don't have anything anymore, but we have nature, and nature is only giving. So what do I need to do, or what can I do to make that happen? What are you gonna do? And everybody has this talent, and that's how we will gain our water, we gain our foods, we have our shelter, because we will be building it together again. And of course, it's maybe not the way we wish for. It has maybe not the luxury that we once had, but who cares? We're alive. And we have each other, like you said in the beginning. Oh. And when you said about holding the hands and then putting it together with what you just said and shared, is I saw the mycelium beneath the ground and working together and cleaning up nature and giving the signs from the tree to another tree. This tree needs water, you know, send it. and how nature works, it's so magnificent. And if we people, you know, above the ground who work kind of in a similar way, you know, yeah. Mm-hmm. I think we hold the same vision.
Yeah, and for me, nature is really that when there were times, and there were many phases in my life where there was no light at all to see really, and I was looking for certainty, and I have an open root center, so there's nothing in it, so I feel always the stress from the other, and my spleen is open too, so you know. And I found the certainty in the rhythm of the nature and of the seasons and of the sea and whatever, the moon and the waves of the sea and the trees. And this is really this, there's always every day the sun coming backward. Not all in Germany, sometimes not, but there are only clouds. But in general, you know. But this is such a deep knowing of, yeah, it's all, everything is okay, and we are together, and we are, what is it? We cannot fall deeper than our love, in a way. Yeah. Or each other. And this is my hope. This is really my hope, because I feel really sad these days because so many hearts are closed. And I don't try to explain it anymore so much with so many words, but I try to live it more, to really to open my heart, to be conscious in doing it, and perhaps it's easier to just do it. Or
the 6 is the role model. So when you role model, people will come to you for, how did you do that? How can you be so at ease with all these changes? How do you take care of yourself when there's nothing, or you know, there's less, or how? Just being it, you're doing it, and they will come to you and look to you like, oh, if she can do it, or how does she do it, and then they will follow you, because the 6th line is the new leadership. Before it was like the 5th line was like in the teaching leadership, but we're going to an age that the 6th line is the new leader, because it sets a role model, an example. It's embodied wisdom. That's what I say, and that's what I'm sensing with you right now too. You know, not trying to explain anymore, because, you know, when the ears are closed, they cannot hear. When their eyes are closed, they cannot see. And only when they're open to it, they will hear. So in time of need, they will open their eyes and they will see you doing the things just naturally. And that will set the example. Yeah. When I saw you explaining and expressing all the beauty that you saw, how nature worked together, my sense wanted to bring that back. How do you feel that now inside of you when you see all that perfection outside?
I feel it.
You feel it, yeah.
Yeah, I really, it's I do it very often, or I do it all the time, but when I'm conscious, or I really feel inside of me. It's like a light in different colors, or white light, or what is it, golden light. And it's this 8D I was talking about one day. You remember? It's these infinity 8s, but in all directions. It's really up and down, there, in every direction. It's always. It never stops. It never stops, and it's in a way all the time purifying and cleaning, and sometimes it's stuck anywhere, and I put a bit more light here and a bit more golden flow there, and and when I do this in a conscious way, 2 minutes later everything flows. It's really so strong, and you can do it with breathing. You can I don't know, I play with it. I try to show it to other people, but for instance, I play with myself, but I can do it for others or for situations or whatever. And it's because something, it's just, or not, sometimes I believe that it's always energetical in a way.
Everything is energy. Yeah. So, we're just dense energy pressed into a human being. Right.
But it's really inside. It's inside, and there are days that I don't want. I'm not in the mood. So today I don't want to clean. I feel sad, and I stay like this.
And you just accept the wave. Yeah.
But I know how to come out if I want to.
Right. But sometimes I feel it's okay to just accept the wave and go like, yeah, I'm just going to sit with the wave. It doesn't feel comfortable, but I don't feel like coming out right now. It's just perfect. You know, like the rebel or maybe the revolutionary go like, I don't feel in the mood today. I'm going to be with you, gate number 12. We're going to just be, and then they have a party in their own way.
Or with the emotional waves, when Ashley one day was speaking about the music she put on a list to go through the emotional wave. And I did this once 1 year or 2 years ago, I don't remember. And it was so, oh no, I went so much in the old stories. It was really big, dramatic and whatever. And it was a time where I didn't stay by myself, picking all my pieces together and fragmentation and integration. No, I went in the outside, and I wrote, or I called an old friend, and trying to bring this up in a, it's just, no, it's not about the other, it's about me. So now I stay, and even if I dance and I listen to the music, which is making me so sad, I cry and I stay in bed for a day. But then it's over. It's okay.
Yeah, beautiful. Because I feel the acceptance in the archetype that wants attention at that time. And that, wow. Kerstin. I'm sorry, I don't speak that good German, so that I cannot pronounce your name.
It's not even German, it's a Swedish name.
Swedish. Oh wow. So you were not even born in Germany, you were?
Yes, I'm born in Germany, but the name is Swedish. I don't know.
Oh, okay. My
parents chose this one.
Wow, beautiful. Well, we're all
it was not to interrupt it with my internet.
No, it wasn't. And we're almost on the hour, and I feel this last question. How do I formulate it? It's very easy, simple. Now you're expecting like this big question, but I would love to hear from you if we're talking about the city, if people are contemplating or just feeling the word rebirth. How would you express it or explain it for you when you think about the word rebirth?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in human terms, I was even speaking about it, because for me, in an embodied way, in a human body, this rebirth is a process of stopping to fix things in the outside, to come inside me, to sort it, to purify it, to feel it all inside my body, and then coming from the inside out. And with this purity coming out and being able to perceive the other and to bring this co-creation, this pure co-creation, this is the rebirth of something new. Because you come from a complete other place, and this is pure. And there is rebirth possible.
Wow. Thank you so much for this beautiful conversation, for being courageous, to be vulnerable, sharing your life's experience, and hearing how you flourished and how you found yourself. And I think that will inspire a lot of people that are watching and maybe are still contemplating their 49. And we thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Beautiful.